And as President Obama wallows in his self-inflicted sequestration mess and tries to take more of your hard-earned money to dig himself out of this, listen to this. Over the weekend, Secretary of State John Kerry met face-to-face with the man himself, the 9/11 truther, Egyptian President Mohamed Morsi. Now, after meeting with the man who has called the Israelis the descendants of apes and pigs, Kerry announced that he's going to immediately give to Egypt, that means Morsi, the Muslim Brotherhood, $190 million in aid, $450 million in total aid over time. Why? Simply because Morsi promised to implement political and economic reforms. How generous of the administration, all on sequestration weekend. Now, last time I checked, that we could use that money right here in this country, Mr. Secretary. Now, that's just the tip of the iceberg, because in 2013, the fiscal year alone, the administration is slated to hand over more than $1.5 billion to this rogue regime in Cairo. Now, meanwhile, we've also learned that the Obama State Department has allotted $469 million to address, quote, global climate change. Pretty unreal. That's all your hard-earned dollars. And joining me now with reaction from the American Center for Law and Justice, Jay Sekulow, and former aide to Senator John Kerry, an adjunct professor of media studies at the New School, obviously a liberal institution. Mark Hannan is there. Guys, welcome back.
Hey, Sean.
All right, so this is where we're giving ultimately $1.5 billion. So let's just take the Kerry promise this weekend of $450 million. Okay, so we're going to give $450 million taxpayer dollars to a guy that referred to the Israelis as descendants of apes and pigs. He is part of the Muslim Brotherhood, a terrorist organization, a 9/11 truther. Now, I have a list here of things that we could better spend this money on. We'll put it up on the screen, Mark, and like $200 million for procurement of ammunition for the Army, $59 million for U.S. Marshals, service salaries, expenses, $53 million for food safety and inspection services. You get the point. And maybe we can spend the other billion on the kids that are poor or the kids that are disabled, as the president said we'd be cutting from. Why should we give the money to him and not the children and not our own military?
Sean, there's absolutely no question that those are deserving programs that you list on the screen, but giving
but we have limited money, so why should Morsi get it over the children in America and over our military?
And I'll answer that. And it's absolutely well within the United States' national interest as well as national security interest to make sure Egypt remains a strong ally. As you know, it's the oldest American ally in the
Muslim
Arab
Brotherhood
world.
run Egypt now.
And well,
the
the Muslim Brotherhood and the Freedom and Justice Party, which is a political wing of the Muslim Brotherhood, Americans are right to have concerns about
the
Morsi.
Israelis are descendants of apes and pigs.
No
That's
kidding.
what Morsi
Hamas
said.
is also is the military wing or the terrorist wing of the Muslim Brotherhood.
Right,
Mark.
Right.
I mean,
so what do you suggest? I mean, this was a democratically elected, and
I suggest you don't give $250 million or $1.5 billion to the Muslim Brotherhood-led government in Egypt when the President of the United States himself, Barack Obama, said he could not define them as an ally. And he can't define them as an ally because you don't know which way they're going to go when it comes to the United States. Except you know this, when we were trying to get access to witnesses in Benghazi, Egypt blocked it.
All right, let me ask Mark this very quickly. Mark, I want a real answer.
Thanks. Hopefully I'll be able to answer it.
We're borrowing 46 cents of every dollar we spend. The president says poor children and disabled children will suffer as a result of the sequestration. Why $1.5 billion of limited resources to the 9/11 truther, the Muslim Brotherhood, who refers to the Israelis as descendants of apes and pigs? Why them over our military and our children? You didn't answer that.
Let's be clear about what we're talking about.
Why them over us?
I'll answer you.
Why?
We're giving money not to the Muslim Brotherhood. We're giving money, $60 million, as you know, Sean, and you didn't mention it in your lead-in, but is going directly to entrepreneurs and for economic incentives to create democratic institutions.
Why $1.5 trillion to a country run by a head of the Muslim Brotherhood?
Trillion, I think you meant billion, and it's $2 billion that we give to Pakistan. We give $3 billion to Israel. Why do we give $600 million
is going
to
the Muslim Brotherhood, 1.3 which is for military weapons, Sean. That's the fact.
All sorts of reasons. It's the most cost-effective part of our national security apparatus.
Jay?
Do you really, Mark, do you really believe that the Muslim Brotherhood-led government under Morsi in Egypt is part of our apparatus in the Middle East? Or will you not acknowledge that the entire plan of the president with regard to the Arab Spring has turned into an Islamicized winter nightmare, and we're in a thaw now that could even be worse? I mean, the reality is, look where the money's going, and how in the world we're having sequestration in the United States when we're giving $1.5 billion that we're having to borrow from the Chinese to give to the Muslim Brotherhood when we're cutting services in the United States.
I'll tell you where the money is going.
Sorry,
the money is going to create a stable and strong Egypt, which is absolutely imperative in that part of the world. What are the
Do you
consequences?
believe that the Muslim Brotherhood government can create a stable Egypt?
If the democracy in Egypt unravels...
Democracy? You think that's democracy?
He was voted in. It's not us in America who get to vote for the Egyptian president. The Egyptians get to vote for their own.
Jay is next. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Mark, here's the problem. I don't believe, and I think most people that are engaged in this, and I've got an office that deals with a lot of these situations in the Middle East, that the Muslim Brotherhood government is going to be stable at all. And if it is going to be stable, it's going to be about as stable as Iran, which means it's going to be an Islamist government, which it already is. And do you really believe, Mark, really, you're a smart guy, do you really believe that a government under Morsi, with the attempts he's made to grab power and continues to, dismissing the military leadership that previous administration had, do you believe that they're an ally of the United States?
I believe that absolutely Morsi has conducted a power grab. I believe we have a right to be concerned about that, and I believe that's exactly why the foreign aid we're offering them is tied, let me finish my sentence, Jay, is tied to those kinds of political and economic reforms and making sure that the free and fair election that brought Morsi to power is replicated so that maybe somebody else is elected.
Do you believe that was
and deny our military and deny our military weapons to give it to the terrorists? Pretty sick stuff to me.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.